We complete with this evening's class this seminar on the 5 essential items of Bhakti Yoga.
Touto večerní přednáškou dokončíme dílny seminář o 5 základních složkách Bhakti Yogy.
So this evening we'll be speaking of Vraja vasa, living in Sri Vrindavan Dham.
Dnes večer budeme mluvit o Vraja vas, nebo žití ve Sri Vrindavan Dham.
So to begin, let's go through the verse one time together.
Začátek jednou přečteme verš společně.
Satsanga Krishna Seva Bhagavattanam Vraja vasa e pancha sadhana pradhan Satsanga. Translation, and then you read it in Czech. To be elevated to the platform of devotional service, the following 5 items should be observed: association with devotees, engagement in the service of Lord Krishna, the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, the chanting of the holy names, and residence at Vrindavan or Mathura.
Abychom mohli dosáhnout úrovně oddané služby, musíme vykonávat 5 následujících činností: služovat se s oddanými, stávat se službou Pánu Krišnovi, číst Srimad Bhagavatam, zpívat svatá jména a pobývat v Vrindavanu či Mathuře.
So, in our previous talks, I've been making clear that these items, one after the other, are fundamental to this International Society for Krishna Consciousness.
V předchozích přednáškách jsem vyjasnil, že všechny tyto činnosti jedna po druhé jsou základem činností Mezinárodní společnosti pro vědomí Krišny.
But sometimes a doubt is raised about this last item.
Ale někdy se vznáší pochyba o tomhle posledním dílu, poslední činnosti.
Taken literally, it means we should be living in Sri Vrindavan Dham, which is, as you know, about 90 miles north of New Delhi, India.
Že bychom doslova za to měli žít ve Sri Vrindavan Dhamu, který je 90 mil na východ Nového Delhi v Indii.
Or Prabhupada in his translation says, or Mathura. So Mathura is a present-day city, a bit larger than Vrindavan, just a very short rickshaw ride away from Vrindavan.
Prabhupada v překladu uvádí také, nebo ve Mathuře, což je něco větší město, která je vzdálená jenom nedaleko, dá se tam chvalí lidé rickshaw z Vrindavanu.
And there are actually some, I spoke to you yesterday about the Babajis at Radhakund. Some of them and their followers will even argue in this way that unless you're able to live in the physical proximity of Vraja Bhumi, then your Krishna consciousness cannot be completed.
Jsem se zmínil, že tam jsou babáči, pokud nejste schopni fyzicky žít tady v té oblasti Vraja Bhumi, tak naše oddaná služba nemůže být úplná.
So first of all, there is no doubt that Srila Prabhupada considered Sri Vrindavan Dham to be essential in our development of Krishna consciousness.
V řadě není pochyb o tom, že Srila Prabhupada pokládal Sri Vrindavan Dham za podstatný pro náš rozvoj vědomí Krišny.
Therefore he established the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Ramanreti, and he urged his disciples and now all members of ISKCON to make the pilgrimage there as often as possible. To visit not only Krishna Balaram Mandir but the temples of the Goswamis, bathe in the Jamuna, do Govardhan Parikram. So many devotees of ISKCON are living in Sri Vrindavan Dham. But not all of us, and obviously the majority of the members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, they cannot go live there permanently nor is it practical, because then how will the worldwide movement of ISKCON, which Srila Prabhupada established and stressed so much, how that will go on if everyone goes to Vrindavan to live?
Je jasné, že většina členů se tam nemůže nastěhovat do Vrindavanu a žít tam, to prakticky možná navíc, jak by také fungovalo potom celosvětové šíření ISKCON, které se Srila Prabhupada psal.
So, let us consider this. So first point is that Srila Prabhupada taught us that the real Vrindavan, just like we were speaking about yesterday, about this level of rasa sadhana. So this is a very, very high thing. So just like Vaishnava, Prabhupada said, Vaishnava is most rare in this world. And so similarly, the transcendental abode of Krishna is so rarely achieved.
Podobně jako včera jsme mluvili o té úrovni rasa sadhana, která je velice vznešená, a Prabhupada říkal, že Vaishnava je velice vzácná osoba, kterou není snadné potkat nebo se stát, a tak podobně jí dosáhnout pravého Vrindavanu není snadné.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught Radhayo Bhagavan Vrajesatoniye Tadhama Vrindavana, that Sri Vrindavan Dham is actually on the same level of transcendence and holiness as Lord Krishna himself. So Sri Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sat Chittananda Vigraha, his identity is absolutely spiritual and transcendental to this world. And so Vrindavan, we know from Brahma Samhita, Chintamani Dham. This is a transcendental place. It is not of this world. So Prabhupada actually once made a remark when there was some talk about residents of Vrindavan, the Vraja vasis, meaning those persons now residing in Vrindavan, the Vrindavan Pandas, the Brahmanas there who run the temples, and all the people you see. Now, we don't want to minimize, of course, that would be offensive, but I just want to repeat what Srila Prabhupada said. He said when this talk came up of the Vrajavasis, residents of Vrindavan, he said that there were actually only 6 real residents of Vrindavan. And he meant the 6 Goswamis.
Obyvatelích o Vražavásích, těch, kteří tam byli ve Vrindavanu, Brahmanové, další, kteří se stali o chrám, všichni, koho tam vidíme, tak když je nechceme snižovat, Prabhupada sám prohlásil, že existuje jenom 6 obyvatel Vrindavanu a 6 Gosvámí.
Meaning, now what we have to understand Prabhupada's intention for making such a rather thunder-striking remark that Vrindavan is not cheap. It's not simply that you fly to Delhi and then rent a taxi, get cheated by the taxi wallahs, spend 2,000 rupees when you only need to spend 700 or 800 and get driven up there. And then here I am in Vrindavan. You see, as soon as you go through the gate, it's the Bhaktivedanta gate on Bhaktivedanta Marg, very nice, but it is not simply that you move your physical body into this place that can be shown on a map, known in India as Vrindavan to everyone. You see, yes, Vrindavan is there, but you are not necessarily in touch with that place simply by putting your body in a certain configuration on a map.
Touto poznámkou, která je jako blesk, když udeří, tak to znamená, že není tak laciné se do Vrindavanu dostat, jako například přijet si taxi, který vás navíc podvede, abyste za 800 vás tam doveze za 2000 rupí a potom projedete Bhaktivedantovou bránou na Bhaktivedanta Swami Mark, což je pěkné, a potom jste na určitém místě, které všichni znají v Indii, tady je Vrindavan, tohle místo na mapě, ale přesto ještě to neznamená, že jste ve Vrindavanu, jste na tom místě.
Again, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not minimizing that land that you can go visit. I am not minimizing the importance of visiting that land.
Zase mě to špatně nevykládejte, já nesnižuji význam návštěvy tohoto místa.
But Vrindavan is actually a state of consciousness.
V skutečnosti Vrindavan je stav vědomí.
And we have this warning that just like these nice pictures of Krishna, Hare Krishna mantra here. So this is also Krishna. So we see, I use this because I can point to it. All these nice pictures are covered, protected by a plate of glass.
Tady vidíme všechny tyhle krásné obrázky Krišny, včetně tady Mahamantry, což je další podoba Krišny, tak jsou ochráněné, zakryté sklem.
So similarly, Vraja Bhumi, Bhauma Vrindavan, visible in this world, is actually covered by an invisible shield called Pravda Maya.
Podobně i Bhauma Vrindavan na tomto světě je zahalený takovou neviditelnou vrstvou známou Pravda Maya.
Who is actually a personality in Sri Krishna's eternal lila, Purnamasi.
Což je osobnost Krišnovy věčné líly Purnamasi.
So she is the Yoga Maya. So only with her permission can one actually enter the Chintamani Dham.
Yoga Maya jedině s jejím svolením může někdo vstoupit do Chintamani Dham.
If we do not have her permission, her approval, then we can go to that place as it is configured on the map, 90 miles north of Delhi. We can go there.
Že můžeme jet na to místo na mapě, ale pokud nemáme její svolení, tak nemůžeme skutečně vstoupit.
But even though we're there, standing there, seeing all the temples, we may not actually be in Vrindavan.
Když tam stojíme a vidíme všechny ty krámy okolo, tak taky neznamená, že musíme být ve Vrindavanu.
So, just like I was mentioning yesterday, I don't like to talk about this, but it has to be mentioned because Prabhupada told us about this. There are Vrajabasis who are passing as Babajis, as great saintly persons, but they're engaged in material activities there in Vrindavan.
Jsem se o tom zmínil včera i Prabhupada o tom mluvil, že jsou Vraja vasi, kteří se strojí jako svědci, že tam dělají zakázané činnosti v oblasti Vrindavanu.
And of course then this is putting them into difficulty.
To je přivádí do potíží.
As Prabhupada told us, the pigs that one can see who formed the street cleaning brigade in Vrindavan, they were formerly human residents who, staying in that holy place, committed sinful activities.
Prabhupada říkal, prasata, která tam vidíme jako čistící brigády, uklízející ulice, tak to byly dříve lidské bytosti, které pobývaly ve Vrindavanu a dělali hříšné činnosti.
So, how can we actually enter Vrindavan?
Takže jak můžeme skutečně vstoupit do Vrindavanu?
And this is important because if we understand this, then we'll be able to enter Vrindavan wherever we are on this globe, in this planet.
A to je důležité, protože pokud tohle pochopíme, tak budeme schopni vstoupit do Vrindavanu, kdekoliv jsme na této planetě.
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he states, Moramana Vrindavana, which means my mind is Vrindavan.
Mahaprabhu říká, moje mysl je Vrindavan.
So in Sri Advaita Chaya, he said to Lord Chaitanya, that wherever you are, my Lord, that is Vrindavan. So Srila Prabhupada explained that when he established the Krishna Balaram Mandir, he said that Sri Sri Gaur Nitai are non-different from Sri Sri Krishna Balaram.
pán vysvětlil, když postavil Krishna Balaram mandir, že Shri Gornitai se neliší od Shri Krishna Balaram.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Shri Radha and Krishna in one form. And so it is by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda that we may really enter Vrindavan. I think maybe you should go take care of your problem. Otherwise it's disturbing the class. So, yes, so Mahaprabhu says, Vrindavan is my mind. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is distributing his mind. What is the mind of Mahaprabhu? That is nothing else than the purest Krishna consciousness. And he is distributing that pure consciousness of Krishna, that Mahabhava Swarup, that intense love of Krishna. He distributes it by saturating the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with his own bhav, with his own loving mood.
Mahaprabhu říká, že Vrindavan je jeho mysl je čisté vědomí Krišny, které on rozdává ve svatém jménu, které je prosycené Mahabhavou čistou láskou ke Krišnu.
So, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is, of course, Vedic mantra,
Krishna Maha Mantra je samozřejmě védská mantra,
which is presented in the Kali Santarana Upanishad. And there it is stated, Sarvadama Prityaga Papat Sadhya Suchitama Puyat Sadhyo Muchyate Iti Upanishad. That the message of this Upanishad is that in Kali Yuga we are all fallen. We are not able to perform the dharma that is required of us as human beings in this age. The Vedas give a dharma, a manusha dharma, dharma for human beings. And if we do not follow it, then we are only dvipada pashu, two-legged animal. And the problem is, in this age, it's not possible, or very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. And not possible practically outside of India. In India it's difficult. And outside of India, chance is practically zero that anyone is going to be able to keep up this prescribed dharma for the human being. So it's, in this sense, very inauspicious, most inauspicious of the four ages.
Tam je řečeno poselství této Upanishády je, že v Kaliuze jsme všichni pokleslí, prakticky jsme všichni vypadá pašu, je velice těžké naplnit skutečnou manuša dharmu, lidskou předepsané lidské povinnosti. Prakticky v Indii je to hodně těžké a mimo Indii jsou šance prakticky nulové.
But the teaching of this Upanishad is that if we simply chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Over to you.
Učení této Upanishády je, že pokud jednoduše zpíváme Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Then sadhu muchyate, then one will be immediately freed from this anomaly of not being able to perform one's prescribed duties.
Budeme okamžitě zbaveni tady té nepříznivé situace, že nejsme schopni vykonávat své předepsané povinnosti.
So muchyate, this is in Sanskrit another way of saying moksha. So then in the Vedic context, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is delivering liberation to the living entities in this age.
Muchyate, to je v sanskritu totéž co moksha, nebo osvobození, a znamená to, že Hare Krishna Mahamantra je tím, co v tomto věku dává lidem osvobození.
In the place of that prescribed Vaidika path, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, that can't be done now. So chant Hare Krishna and you'll yet attain moksha.
Místo této předepsané Vaidika cesty máte káma mokša, kterou v současné době není možné vykonávat, tak jenom zpívejte Hare Krishna a dosáhnete mokši.
But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken this Maha Mantra and he has saturated it. You see, he has soaked it in Krishna Prema, his own consciousness of Krishna.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu vzal tuto Maha Mantru a nasytil ji, vlastně ji jako vymáchal ve svojí Krishna Premě a tím ji naplnil.
And then by touring here and there, all over India, constantly chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, in this way he spread love of God. Those who heard the Maha Mantra from his lips, they became mad with ecstasy and they went running off to their home wherever they lived, chanting like madmen, mad women, and whoever heard them became mad and went running off chanting like mad. You see, so in this way it spread.
Potom Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chodil po Indii všude a zpíval mantru a všichni, kdo ho slyšeli přímo, tak se úplně z toho zešíleli a utíkali někam a tam zpívali dál a kdo slyšel je, tak také zešílel a zase utíkal dál a tímhle způsobem se to rozšířilo.
So I explained about the holy name yesterday.
O svatém jménu jsem mluvil včera.
How simply by chanting the mantra given by Mahaprabhu, this takes us through all the stages of spiritual advancement right up to Krishna Prema. If we do it, following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswamis, the Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada.
Jednoduše svobodné zpívání Hare Krishna Maha Mantry nás provádí všemi stádii duchovního rozvoje až po Krishna Premu, pokud to děláme po způsobu Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a šesti Goswami, celé Guru Parampary a Srila Prabhupada.
So part and parcel of this development of Krishna consciousness by taking up Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, his movement, entering that movement and becoming a servant in that movement, part and parcel of what Lord Chaitanya is giving us in return is residence in Sri Vrindavan Dham.
K tomu, když se staneme členy tohoto hnutí, když se zapojíme do tohoto šíření Maha Mantry, tak co nám Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dává, je pobyt obydlí ve Sri Vrindavan Dham.
So there's a wonderful book written by Sri Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur called Vrindavan Riti Chintamani. And this is describing the glories of Sri Vrindavan Dham, its opulence and its sweetness, in such beautiful poetic language. So, in the beginning of the book, in the second verse, he's offering his respectful obeisances unto Vrindavan Dham. But the verse is very significant when we hear the language. The verse is instructing us how we too can attain Vrindavan Dham. So the actual literal meaning of the words, it is a glorification of Vrindavan, but I will recite the opening of the verse and you'll see what I mean. So the verse begins, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Swarupam Advaitam Ananda Ihadi Nityam. So what he's saying there is that anyone with a pure heart who worships Brajabhumi, which is the form of sweetness, the very form of sweetness, of remembering Krishna. In other words, to be, what he's saying is, to be in Vrindavan means to always remember Krishna in the mood of sweet nectarian love of Krishna. This holy Dham, he goes on to say, is eternal. and transcendental and all blissful, nityam.
On říká dál, svatý dhám je transcendentální, věčný a stále blažený.
Advaitam anadami hadi nityam, that is the meaning. Matchless, it can't be matched by any other place in all of existence, whether spiritual or material.
Žádné jiné místo ve veškeré duchovní či hmotné existenci se mu nevyrovná.
So he says it cannot be understood by ordinary people.
On říká, obyčejní lidé nemohou porozumět.
It can only be understood by the residents who are actually there.
Ale jedině ti, kdo tam pobývají, můžou rozumět.
So this is what the verse, the literal translation from Sanskrit says. But you've heard what these words are. It begins Sri Krishna Chaitanya. He's referring to Vrindavan as the Chaitanya means consciousness, the nature of pure consciousness, Chaitanya. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Rasa Swarupam. So Vrindavan Dham is the form of rasa, the form of consciousness of Krishna.
Takže to byl doslovný překlad ze sanskritu, ale slyšeli jste na začátku slovo Chaitanya, neboli vědomí, takže Sri Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Swarupam. Že ve skutečnosti to je vzpomínání na náladu, na podobu Krishny.
But obviously, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is signaling Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that if we want to become resident of Vrindavan Dham, if we actually want to enter what he is describing, that is only possible through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Každopádně tady Vishwanath Chakravarti poukazuje na Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, že pokud se chceme stát obyvateli Vrindavanu, vstoupit do Dhamu, tak to je možné jedině skrze Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
And he goes on to say that the holy Vrindavan Dham is Advaitam, means it is not different from Lord Krishna, but that is also signaling Advaitacharya.
Dál říká, že svatý Dham je Advaitam, neodlišný od Krishny, ale zároveň to také poukazuje na Advaitu Acharya. And
he says, Ihadi Nityam. The holy Dham of Vrindavan is eternal, but that is signaling Lord Nityananda Prabhu.
Takže svatý Dham je Nityam, je věčný, ale to zase poukazuje na Nityananda Prabhu.
Anandam Ihadi Nityam. This is Nityananda. So, this is a very nice shloka with a kind of double meaning. We can see that if we at all desire to enter Vrindavan, then it is only possible by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivas, and all the ecstatic devotees, Gaura Bhaktivinoda of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
To je velice pěkná šloka s takovým nebo dvojím významem, teda můžeme chápat, že pokud chceme vstoupit do Vrindavanu, tak je to možné jedině milostí Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Srivas, Gadadhara, všech extra.
So Srila Prabhupada explained that the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is established in just the way to give us entrance into that Vrindavan Dham, that pure state of Krishna consciousness.
Prabhupada říkal, že mezinárodní společnost pro vědomí Krishny je sestavená takovým způsobem, aby nám umožnila přístup do tohoto Vrindavanu, do stavu čistého vědomí.
I remember the first time I had the opportunity to see and hear Srila Prabhupada. That was in Boston in the summer of 1971. He came there for just a couple of days. That's when I took initiation.
Vzpomínám, když jsem měl poprvé možnost vidět a slyšet Srilu Prabhupádu, což bylo v Bostonu v létě 1971, kdy on tam přijel na pár dní a kdy jsem také přijel do svěcení.
So the leaders of the temple, they were, because the temple, that building is still there, 40 North Beacon Street. It's an apartment building now. So it's somewhat bigger than your place. Maybe even twice as big, but at that time there was about 70 devotees living in it. So it was crowded actually.
Ten chrám byl dost plný, protože ta budova tam dodnes stojí, teď tam byty v chrámu, ale je asi možná dvakrát tak větší než tohle místo, ale bylo tam 70 oddaných.
And of course, because Prabhupada was coming there, then there were another 40, 50 devotees showed up from other places, and really we were packed in like anything.
Když tam přijel Prabhupada, tak ještě navíc přijel asi 40-50 oddaných z dalších míst, takže jsme tam byli pěkně nacpaní.
So the managers of the temple at that time, they thought it's not appropriate for Srila Prabhupada to stay at the temple address. They thought he's only going to be here for 2-3 days, so let us put him in a nice hotel downtown Boston, and then we'll drive him. They had rented a limousine. We'll drive him nicely to the temple. He can give class and do other functions, and then go back and have peace there.
Vedoucí chrámu si mysleli, že nebude dobré pro Prabhupádu, byl v takovémhle přelidněném místě a že mu vezmou hotel v centru Bostonu a pro nějakou limuzinou budou vozit na přednášky a další činnosti a pak budou moct klidu odpočívat. So when Prabhupada was met by the devotees at the airport, this was proposed to him there. Prabhupada said something funny, and it was in a kind of poetic rhyme. He said, "Hotel is brothel, temple is transcendental." It rhymes in Czech too. That's good. So temple is transcendental, Prabhupada said. In our ISKCON temple, Srila Prabhupada said, we are worshipping Sri Sri Gauranitai, who are none other than Sri Sri Krishna Balaram. We worship Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. And Prabhupada, he stressed one other thing, and we are always engaged in Nama Sankirtan. So these are all the authorized activities of Lord Chaitanya's movement. And so particularly by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, following the way of the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I explained to you yesterday the result of chanting in this way is Krishna Prema, which means what? Which means eternal residence in Vrindavan Dham. Zvláště zpíváním Hare Krishna Mahamantry a tímhle způsobem následování hnutí Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, jak jsem o tom mluvil včera, že zpívání vede k dosažení Krishna Premy, což je vlastně Vrindavan Dham.
And now there's something that must be stressed here, that this is not just some idealization. The development of residency in Vrindavan means a change in us. It means the characteristics of the Vraja vasis will gradually become manifest in our own being. So in the Brahma Samhita verse, Kata Ganam Natyam Gamanapi, Vangshi Priya Shaki. So this line says that Kata Ganam, every word in Vrindavan is a song. Natyam Gamanapi, and every step, every movement is dancing. And Vangshi Priyasaki, and the flute is the constant companion. So it means the sound of Krishna's flute is always being heard in Vrindavan. And that sound is provoking in the hearts of the devotees the flow of rasa, the churning of rasa in their hearts. And again, this is seen in how they speak and how they move.
jak se pohybují.
So in the Vrindavan Riti Chintamani, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives some very nice examples of this, talking of the language that is spoken by the Vraja vasis.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ve své knize dává krásné příklady toho jazyka, kterým mluví Vraja vasi.
There is the word matsara in Sanskrit. In the Sanskrit dictionary, if you look up this word, it means envy.
V Sanskritu je slovíčko matsara, které podle slovníku znamená závist.
The Vraja vasis also have this word in their vocabulary.
Vraja vasi také mají tohle slovo ve svém slovníčku.
But in Vrindavan, matsara means my lake, my kund.
Ale v Vrindavanu matsara znamená moje jezírko.
Like the chief gopis, Srimati Radharani, Lalita, Shaki, all the gopis, they have their own kunds, their own lakes. And at these lakes, Krishna is performing different pastimes.
Všechny hlavní gopi, Srimati Radharani, Lalita, Shaki a ostatní mají svoje jezírka, kde Krishna provádí své zábavy.
So whereas in the material world, Matsura means enviousness, in Vrindavan, it means a place of Krishna's pastimes. And there's the word kala, which is a word for demon. But in Vrindavan, kala, the same word, means the dress of the gopis. Mala in Sanskrit means defect. But in Vrindavan it means gentle and delicate. Pradesha pradosha means fault in the material world, but in the spiritual world, Vrindavan, it means the evening. The evening is a very exciting time in Vrindavan because that's when the gopis start to think about meeting Krishna in the forest. And there's a word doshakara, which actually means rascal. But in Vrindavan it means the moon, the beautiful moon that rises to bathe Krishna's pastimes in its nectarian light. Here the word rosha means anger, but there it means love. Here the word mosha means thief, but there it means Krishna who steals the yogurt of the gopis. Here the word Raja, like Rajoguna, means passion, but there it means the sweet, scented dust from the pollen from the inside of flowers. Here, tama, of course, means ignorance. There it means that wonderful night time in which Krishna's pastimes are being displayed. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti, he actually spends quite a number of verses speaking on these points. Practically he gives kind of like a, like when you visit a foreign country, you get this phrase dictionary. You can speak to the people. It's like that. These are words you need to know when you go to Vrindavan. It's really nice. So what he makes clear by this is that Vrindavan consciousness is totally transformed from what we know of consciousness in this world. The Vrindavan consciousness is so sweet and so gentle and so refined.
Vrindavanské vědomí je velice sladké a jemné a takové ušlechtilé.
And everything centered on Krishna.
A všechno je tam soustředěné okolo Krišny.
So here in the material world, you see, because of the predominance of Rajagun, Tamogun, which doesn't mean the pollen of flowers or the night in which Krishna is dancing with the gopis, doesn't mean that. It means passion and ignorance, because that is so prominent. And then, our language, speech, our behavior, everything is so rough and gross and full of defensiveness and aggressiveness and criticism and suspicion, and that just doesn't go, you see. If you go to the embassy like that, you won't get a visa to Vrindavan.
Takže oproti Vrindavanu tady je všechno prostoupené Rajagunou, Tamogunou, což není ten pil z květů nebo noc, kdy Krišna tančí s gopimi, ale tady místo nějaké jemnosti a sladkosti jsme hrubí a takový neurvalí a agresivní a takové sama pořád se bráníme a celý slovník je hrubý a s takovým chováním, když půjdeme na ambasádu vrindavanskou, tak nedostaneme víza.
So this is all helping us to understand what it really means to become a resident of Vrindavan.
Takže tohle nám pomáhá pochopit, co to vlastně znamená být obyvatelem Vrindavanu.
When I go to Vrindavan, because Vrindavan has become very well known actually in the world. So now when I used to go in the 70s, mid 70s, when I first started going, you'd see a few Western devotees, mainly. Vrindavan was a very quiet street, dusty streets, very quiet place, dusty streets, simple, traditional old houses and temples were there. Few Western devotees.
Já jsem začal jezdit do Vrindavanu v polovině 70. let a to bylo velice jednoduché město s prašnými ulicemi a s jenom starými chrámy, tradičními budovami a jenom několik málo západních chodaných, ale dnes je Vrindavan už slavný.
But now it's become one of the, I hate to put it this way, but it's true, it's become one of the vacation spots of India, nationally and internationally.
Takže dnes, čím se to stalo, když se mě nechce to říkat, ale je to pravda, že to je jako takový typ na dovolenou, jak pro Indii, tak i do zahraničí.
They're just completing the Vrindavan Resort Gardens, which is a big tourist complex. It's huge, tremendous. It's got everything. It's got tourist bungalows, hundreds of them. It's got big swimming pool, tennis courts, everything. And people are invited from all over, it's even advertised internationally. Come to Krishna's holy land and enjoy.
Tady dokonce dokončují takové nějaké turistické zahrady, kde je spousta bungalů a tenisové kurty a bazény a je to obrovské místo pro turisty a už to má i mezinárodní reklamu. Pojďte do Krishnova svatého místa si užívat.
All kinds of big buildings big for Vrindavan. It still doesn't look like Delhi there, but there are many big new buildings that have gone up.
Tam vyrostlo dost velkých budov, i když nejsou velké z hlediska Delhi například, ale na Vrindavan jsou hodně velké.
And now when we look on the street, we see a mix of all kinds of people are there.
Když se podíváme na ulici, tak tam je dneska všelijakých lidí.
Many of them are ISKCONians of different types.
Mnozí z nich jsou různé druhy ISKCONčanů.
But there are people who are not associated with ISKCON also coming from West.
Přijíždějí tam ze západu i lidé, kteří nemají žádné spojení s ISKCOnem.
And of course all kinds of Indians gathered there too. And what we notice is that they're bringing their own culture and behavior with them, their dress, sometimes quite far out. You see, funny T-shirts with the funny messages. Some of the messages are not so Krishna conscious.
různá trička s takovými vzkazy, z nich ne všechny jsou si vědomé Krišny.
So certainly they're all getting benefit.
Tak každopádně všichni z toho mají prospěch.
But what I want to say is that real entering Vrindavan, again, this comes back to consciousness. Mana Mora Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu says, my mind, Mora Mana Vrindavan, that is Vrindavan. So it means to enter the field of Lord Chaitanya's own mind, pure Krishna consciousness.
Zase se vracím k tomu, že skutečný vstup do Vrindavanu znamená změna ve vědomí. Jak Chaitanya Mahaprabhu říká, Mana Mora Vrindavan, že Vrindavan je moje mysl. To znamená, že musíme vědomí Krishny.
In which the true identity of the soul as loving servant of Krishna is fully manifest.
Je plně projevená transcendentální totožnost duše jako věčného servítora Krishny.
So this cultivation we are doing here.
Tuhle kultivaci my provádíme tady.
So this is my point. One, because Vrindavan is a transcendental place. Vrindavan is Chintamani Dham where Krishna is. So one must become Krishna conscious, and so you can become Krishna conscious here in Prague or anywhere in the world, and in this way really enter Vrindavan.
Že Vrindavan je transcendentální místo a vědomí Krishny je také transcendentální. Můžeme tedy vstoupit do Vrindavanu tady nebo kdekoliv jinde na kterémkoliv místě na světě.
So this is Vraja vasa, to live in Vrindavan, the fifth essential item of the bhakti process given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
To znamená Vraja vasa, neboli pobývání ve Vrindavanu, jeden z 5 základních procesů dané služby, které dal Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So it's just now 8:30. Would there be any question?
8:30 bude nějaká otázka?
Yes.
Jsem slyšel, že město Vrindavan jako takový má zaniknout v budoucnosti. Jak se to má manifestovat?
I heard that the town of Vrindavan is expected, is supposed to vanish in the future. How will it be manifested?
The town of Vrindavan is supposed to vanish in the future. Disappear. Well, it will not disappear from the hearts of the pure devotees, that's for sure.
Určitě nezmizí ze srdcí čistých oddaných.
Vrindavan has in the past disappeared from physical sight.
Že Vrindavan už v minulosti zmizel jako z fyzického možnosti vidět.
There was a point in history where the Muslims actually destroyed Vrindavan.
Že jednou v historii muslimové úplně zničili Vrindavan.
But it did not disappear from the hearts of the pure devotees.
Ale nezmizel ze srdcí čistých oddaných.
And that's why Vrindavan is there now.
Proto je tam Vrindavan teď.
The Buddhists went there when Buddhism spread all over India. The Buddhists established, you see, it seems like the other religions, when they become prominent, then they feel they have to like dominate Vrindavan because it's a place of Krishna bhakti. So the Buddhists went there and made that one of their headquarters in India. The Buddhists are gone, but Vrindavan is there. The Muslims went there, they tore down all the temples, killed every Vaishnava they could find. The Muslims are gone, but Vrindavan is there. So Vrindavan may disappear in the future. Don't worry about that. Vrindavan is eternal. Sometimes, like, you see, like Krishna's pastime, prakat, aprakat, manifest, unmanifest, but still they are nitya, they are eternal. So similarly Vrindavan is eternal.
Takže také buddhisté, když se rozšířili po celé Indii, tak si udělali jedno z hlavních středisek ve Vrindavanu. To vypadá vždycky náboženství nějaké, které chce vládnout, tak si chce mít jako vládu nad Vrindavanem, ale buddhisté už jsou pryč a Vrindavan je tam pořád. Muslimové také zničili všechny chrámy a všechny Vajšnavy, které našli, tak pozabíjeli, ale muslimové jsou pryč a Vrindavan je tam pořád, takže v budoucnu také může Vrindavan zmizet, ale je to jako Krishnovy zábavy, jsou někdy projevené, někdy neprojevené, ale ve skutečnosti jsou věčné. Takže pořád nemusíš si dělat starosti.
Another question? Yes?
Je řečeno, že má půra Vrindavan se neliší, ale když tam jeden tak máme, že jsou tam takový návody, takže to mohla.
It is said that Mayapur is not different from Vrindavan, but when we go there we see there are different moods, if you can comment on that.
Well, when you say, when we go there, we see, and you're talking about your own subjective experience.
Když tam jedeme, tak vidíme, tak to mluvíš o své subjektivní zkušenosti.
So, materialistic person, he trusts his own subjectivity, but as devotees, we learn, because we cultivate humility, we do not put too much trust in our subjective experience of things.
Materialisté hodně věří ve svoje subjektivní zážitky, ale my jako Vaishnavové se snažíme kultivovat pokoru a nemáme tolik důvěry ve vlastní subjektivní věry.
And in any case, so if there's a different mood, so what? There are different moods in Krishna's pastimes also.
No a i když tam jsou různé návady, tak co? To je i v Krishnových zábavách jsou různé návady.
Yeah, and there is a kind of difference, in a sense, between Navadvip Dham, Mayapur Dham and Vrindavan Dham.
Takže je určitý rozdíl v jednom smyslu mezi Mayapur Dhamem a Vrindavan Dhamem.
The Mayapur mode is called Audarya, which is munificence.
Mayapurská návada se nazývá Audarya neboli velkodušnost.
The Vrindavan mood is called Madhura, sweet.
A vrindavanská návada je Madhurya, je sladká.
But these are the same and different as everything in our philosophy.
Takže ale ty jsou zároveň totožné a odlišné jako všechno v naší filozofii.
So, as I said a couple nights ago, we have to keep our Western conditioned thinking in check. In check, yeah. This tendency to, black-white divisions. You'll have a hard time with Krishna consciousness if you maintain that type of mentality.
Takže o tom jsem mluvil před pár večery, že svoje jako černobílé vidění bychom měli zabrzdit nebo nechat v Čechách, jinými slovy, a prostě vyvarovat si takového černobílého pohledu.
You see, this Vrindavan mood is different from Mayapur mood. Then it becomes an intellectual problem. How to put it together? What does it mean? All in, this is really beside the point. You see, it's really beside the point. You see, we shouldn't try to translate everything into dry intellectualism. Our intellect has its place in preaching. Meeting the dry intellectual arguments of the opponents. But we ourselves should not become dry intellectuals. You see? And this dry intellectualism means that everything is put on a platform of qualitative sameness, you see, like theism, atheism. You put it all on the same platform, and then you study it. You study, how it fits or how it doesn't fit. And then everyone should have their say. You want to know more about atheism? Bring in an atheist. Tell us, yes, we'll hear you. And just here to get information. Bring in a theist, hear that to get information. And then try to put this information together in some so-called objective way.
Suchý intelektualismus znamená, že se všechno snažíme posuzovat na nějaké úrovni stejnosti. Teismus, ateismus na stejné jedné úrovni a poslechnout si teistu, poslechnout si ateistu a potom to dávat, snažit se porovnávat dohromady takzvaně objektivním způsobem.
But you see, this is all under the framework of mundane mental speculation.
To všechno probíhá v rámci světské mentální spekulace.
You see, because the things are removed from their actual reality to be put on that dry intellectual platform.
Se věci vytrhávají ze skutečného kontextu, aby se dostali na tu suchou intelektuální úroveň.
This is how science works.
Takhle funguje věda.
You want to study some like bacteria, amoeba, then you have to kill it first and look under a microscope and you just look at the dead body, the dead thing, the dead remnant. Everything has to be killed in order to be understood. You see? This is how they work.
Chcete studovat nějaký jednobuněčný organismus, ale musíte ho zabít a dát pod mikroskop a potom ho pitvat, ale takhle oni všechno studují, že nejdřív to zabijí a potom se tomu snaží porozumět.
Take it from its original environment, its original context, put it here on our laboratory table, stick a pin through it, put it in formaldehyde, you see, look at it through a spectroscope and all these things, and then try to put the meaning together in our brain. This is... makes one shudder, you see. It's so impersonal and inhuman, actually.
Se vytrhávají různé věci a prostě dvojové z jejich původního prostředí a kontextu a potom se prostě vezmou do laboratoře a tam se propíchnou špendlíkem a uloží někam do lihu a studují různými stetoskopy a mikroskopy a až se z toho člověk úplně otřásá, protože to je v skutečnosti až nelidské.
So the real process for understanding Vrindavan Mayapur is go there, chant Hare Krishna with the devotees in Mayapur, go on Mayapur Parikram, worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there, then go to Vrindavan with the devotees, chant Hare Krishna with them there, go on Vrindavan Parikram, worship Lord Krishna, Shri Radha and Krishna there. Keep doing that. Do it also here when you're back in Prague. Keep chanting Hare Krishna with the devotees, worshipping Lord Chaitanya and Shri Radha and Krishna. Then you'll gradually get the taste, you see, this rasa. Then you'll know what is Vrindavan and what is Mayapur.
Pokud chceš poznat Vrindavan Mayapur, tak jeď do Mayapuru, zpívej s odanými, před ctivečerem Mahaprabhu a běž na Mayapurský parikram, potom jeď s odanými do Vrindavanu, zpívej tam s nimi, uctívej Ráda Krišnu, běž s nimi na parikram, podobné věci dělej tady, zpívej kirtan a postupně získáš chuť a budeš moc ocenit skutečný Vrindavan Mayapur.
There was another question? Prabhu, yes.
Srila Prabhupada many times said that the different ISKCON temples were non-different than Vrindavan.
Prabhupada často říkal, že různé chrámy jsou stejně dobré jako Vrindavan. Máme to brát doslova?
Well, Prabhupada wanted us to take everything he said literally. And he would show great displeasure if we didn't.
Prabhupada si abychom všechno, co říká, brali doslova, byl velice nespokojený, pokud bychom to nedělali.
It's like now you have, yes, it has kind of become the fashion to have different opinions about things, and nowadays they even talk about liberal devotees versus conservative devotees and this sort of thing.
Se stává módou mít na věci různé názory a mluví se o liberálních oddaných proti konzervativním oddaným a takové věci.
But in Srila Prabhupada's direct presence, nobody got away with anything like that.
Ale s přítomností Šrily Prabhupády by nikdo s ničím takovým neobstál.
You can imagine Prabhupada's disciples sitting there, and Prabhupada gives an instruction, and then some devotees sitting here say, yes, your divine grace, well, we're the liberal wing, so we'll take your instruction this way. And then the others, well, we're the conservative wing, and we'll take it that way. That would not, no one would ever dare to say such a thing in Prabhupada's presence. And if they did, they would be, inundated with the fire of Lord Nrsingadev's anger.
Představte, za Prabhupády sedí skupina oddaných a on dává pokyn a někde se přihlásil. My jsme teda to liberální křídlo, tak my si ten pokyn vyložíme takhle a druhý řeknou, my jsme konzervativci, tak my to budeme brát takhle, tak to si nikdo vůbec neopovážil něco takového udělat, nebo byli zapálení hněvem Pána Nrsingadeva.
So the answer is yes, we must take it literally. At the same time, we should understand that this is, as I've tried to explain in this talk, that we have much to realize about the non-difference of a temple, say here in Prague or anywhere. We have much to realize of the non-difference of that with Vrindavan Dham. That means we have to realize Vrindavan ourselves.
Odpověď je, že to musíme brát doslova, ale zároveň také máme ještě hodně co realizovat o té neodlišnosti tohoto místa nebo kteréhokoliv chrámu od Vrindavanu. To znamená, že sami musíme realizovat Vrindavan.
And so we have to undertake program of purification that Prabhupada has given us very seriously.
Takže velice seriózně musíme podstoupit ten proces očištění, který nám Prabhupada dal.
So I'll thank you very much for your kind attention to the seminar.
Děkuji mnohokrát za pozornost při semináři.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Suhotra Maharaj.
Ki jai.